All that underscores the importance of, medical malpractice being reduced if it was properly, if John Conyers' bill, single payer, would have saved hospitals and private insurance money in the long run. And that really...
That's a whole big area in terms of that. And this area is particularly affected by it. I'm very familiar with that because we have what we call tort reform. And of course, none of the legislators, people like that, are for it because they're all lawyers.
Exactly.
And the lawyers are making big money off of tort. Now, let me explain what I mean when I talk about tort reform. Okay, they do what they call venue shopping. And what they do is they try to put the case before a jury that's sympathetic. Okay, so the lawyer does a survey and he says that the jurors here in Philadelphia are more sympathetic to giving a high award for this type of illness. Okay, so then what they do is they schedule the case so that it shows up in this jurisdiction. When in reality, the malpractice may not have even taken place anywhere in this county. But the case shows up here. And when the person wins the award, then that goes against the malpractice rates for this area or this jurisdiction. That's the reason why OB/GYN clinics are closing, all obstetrics and all that. All of that high tech, high risk types of things. Most of those people are leaving the area because the malpractice insurance is still so high, and it's the torts that are driving that cost. Because we don't prevent any more malpractice here than anywhere else.
Exactly, but does the single payer proposal
Yes,
that
it
will
does.
be introduced
Yes, it does. It addresses those issues. That's right.
All the provisions are best articulated in a report prepared by the California Nurses Association. And now that I have your emails, I will definitely email you that. It's about a 35-page report, but it addresses how a transition can be made from the system we have now to a universal single payer.
But it's not just the hospitals, but it's not just the hospital, and somebody mentioned this, it goes much broader than that. Of course, I was a member of the public health system, so we have federally qualified health centers, things like that. I'll never forget it. One of the units is our STD unit. So we're mandated to provide care for people who have sexually transmitted diseases. Now, I don't know how many people know it, but we have an epidemic of venereal disease here in Philadelphia. Yes. And that the kids in high school have chlamydia and all these things, they don't even know they have it. We have been going into the high schools doing random testing, and we're coming back with 30–40% of the kids positive for venereal disease. It's so bad that we actually are giving out the treatment right there when we get the positive result back. Okay, now, in the STD clinic, it's just like the other clinics, okay? Now, to me, it would make sense that you would try to spend some time educating the young person so they don't go back out and come back in next week with the same STD. Okay, so one of the doctors had pictures and charts and stuff, and when the kids would come in, he would show them pictures of the various different diseases and how it, it had marks on their organs and stuff like that. And the kids would really, take that into heart. Well, they said, well, you have to see so many patients per time, and it's too slow, and you don't have time to be showing these pictures and stuff to people. And they actually cited him for it, and he would have been fired because he didn't meet the quota of people that he was supposed to see within that period of time. This is public health system. Now, how does that make any sense when that person who you spent no time, talking to them about how they got the disease and what impact it'll have on their fertility, all these issues, they go back out, next week they're back in again with the same STD over again. That's why we can't get rid of it. Reinfection rate.
Well, it's just like when you think about when you're talking about STDs, it doesn't come into the forefront until things like now we have MRSA. Everybody knows what MRSA is now.
What is MRSA?
Oh, it's methicillin.
The flesh-eating bugs.
And years ago, it was not. It was not cost effective. We used to isolate it, and back in the I'm 80s, we used to isolate that. And then all of a sudden, it was not cost effective. So we used what they called universal protocol. So everybody had everybody had a disease, and you treated them as if even if they didn't, you treated them as if they did. That doesn't work. Now we're in a crisis. Now we're in a crisis, and they would you'd have a lung transplant on immunosuppressive drugs, okay, coming in and having your transplant, and then they would match them up with a patient that had MRSA, and if you would resist, you were certainly not doing what you should be doing as a nurse. And next thing you know, our friend that had the transplant now has MRSA because you paired them up. It was almost impossible. They didn't like it. Right. That's what happened. And now every MRSA patient is isolated. Is that cost effective now?
No.
And it's now a very big public health issue. It's everywhere. MRSA's everywhere.
Yeah, it's in the prisons. I would see it in the prisons. Big
It's in the
problem
locker
in prisons.
rooms. And now how cost effective was that?
It's not on the news.
It's on the radio,
so.
I know, but not to the extent that you guys are describing. It's
Wouldn't get people in hospitals if you really knew what the possibility. But I have a question for clarification. Here's what I can understand. There are these HMOs, which is very little, but here they're HMOs, and what I see, there's a profit line motive. They're a commodity, and they have to prove that they're making money.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this is the philosophical debasement of democracy, when you have to prove that taking care of people's health has to make money. Okay, so I would opt for single payer, I would opt for a public health system. What I don't understand is what you said about hospitals also being part of it. And maybe I don't understand the status of hospitals like Temple. Do they have to prove a profit making as a bottom line, or just take, no?
Well, they have to be able to sustain their operation, and in order to do so, they have to make money, because the directors make huge salaries.
That's right.
And
that's what it comes down to, is paying your salaries.
And it costs a lot to run the facilities, and then they're building all these new facilities. Everybody wants state of the art.
They gotta make money.
State of the art.
I do distinguish between, those organizations, those health insurance companies that need to show a profit, for their shareholders, as opposed to institutions that, I understand they need to make money, they need to pay.
There's not much difference. I understand what you're saying. No, there's not any difference. I'll give you a perfect example of that. The Sisters of Mercy. Now, they're a charity organization. They own a lot of hospitals. They own Mercy. A lot of the areas in this, all around the country actually are owned by the Sisters of Mercy. That's a business. They've got to have a bottom line just like any other hospital and make a profit, even though they're sisters and it's a religious and a charity and so on.
But what do you mean by making a profit? There's a difference between
the only difference
for your employees, everybody's entitled to earn a living, and making a profit for your shareholders.
It's the same thing, because a profit for the shareholder is translated into an endowment or a fund that they have to set aside for the charity organization. You see what I'm saying? So the money is still going into something, even if it's not going to a shareholder. They still have reserves and things, building funds and stuff like that, which they're going to put money into. So they have to have a profit over cost in order to put it into those funds. You see my point?
No, because it's still taking care of the people within. If you want an endowment, it's still to take care of those people within the system. They're not taking the endowment to give the shareholders, say here's your dividend check because you invested in this country.
It is though.
That's
a hospital like St. Jude, for example. They have an endowment that allows them over the next 10 years to be able to pay for full health care for any patient that steps in that hospital's doors. Their money goes to the patient. That's what the money that they've saved, the money that you're talking about, for an example, an organization like Sisters of Mercy, does not go to the patients. So it is for the shareholders and those who are employees.
But you said in one hospital, when they take their endowment, it does go for the patients.
Well, that's what they've allowed us to do with their money. But
maybe the Sisters of Mercy are taking their endowment. I don't know.
But whatever it is, it's not translating into a lower cost of care, and that's the main issue.
Right.
That's the problem.
It's not translating into a lower
Well, I
cost
think
of
that
care.
as you go out to argue this, and I would like to set up these meetings, I'm not sure that I have the argument on how I think we need the argument how you lower the cost of care.
Well, no doubt about it.